Hello! We finally released our ModboxSDK, our tool for making Modbox mods and content. So we've been working on this for a very long time, since we started Modbox pretty much, and it's been one of the primary focuses on Modbox, to make making mods as simple and easy as possible, pretty much trying to make it as easy as making Unity games. You should be able to make Modbox content. So what's unique about Modbox SDK is that you can actually run the entirety of Modbox in the SDK. I'm just editing a level right now. I can open up the mods, and I can activate any mod that's been made for Modbox, including ones on the workshop. And along with that, I can load any workshop content that other people have made and try it out. The only restriction right now is that there's no online support. So that's something maybe we'll add in the future. It's kind of weird if you can go online with custom scripting and other people don't have that, but we're figuring out a way to allow for the Modbox SDK to go online. But I'll take off the headset to kind of show how this works. Okay, so to install the Modbox SDK, it should just show up in your tools library on Steam, if you own Modbox on Steam. If I try to play that, it'll just open this directory, which contains a folder with the Modbox SDK content, which is what I'll open in Unity, and README. And the README just explains what Modbox version it is and which Unity version we're using. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have the exact Unity version, but definitely should be 5.4 for right now. And open the Modbox guide, and this is what we use. This is a wiki we've created that details how to create entities, how to create your own environments, how to create toys. For the vast majority of content, you won't have to do any custom scripting. So there shouldn't be any C# scripting for doing a lot of content. Like most of the weapon possibilities, everything could just be done by setting them up in the SDK. If you do want to do custom scripting, right now we've disabled downloading custom scripting off the workshop just because we're waiting to see how modders use it and what we can do to make it an easier process. But you can already do custom scripting and look at the wiki for how to respond to player events, how to network data, which we've made very simple, and how to save content that the player can edit in Modbox. So to start, I'll go back into the Unity project and I'll open the test scene. So the first thing to know in this engine game object is how the game will actually start. So you have a few options. You can go non-VR mode. You can say if you want to include Steam, which includes all the workshop content, or you can set what mods to load at start, which is really good for testing. So the non-VR mode is just a way to play the game without having to put on the headset and stand up and do all that hard work. I can just go here and start controlling the controllers like this with my keyboard. The controls to how to do this are on the wiki, but it's still not very intuitive. It's definitely not as fun as trying it in VR. So I'll create my first mod. In the mods folder under assets, I'll create a directory called my mod. And then I'll create a mod metadata object. And this is just what sets all the mod data, like the description, the icon, and all the workshop options, like if it's public or private, and what authors have contributed to the mod. So I'll find some data to start filling this with. Okay, so I imported this package of Unity asset store content. It comes with a barrel, some crates, a shotgun, and a SMG, which I think comes from the FPS weapons package on the Unity asset store. I'll delete these and just check this out. So it has a rigid body, a mesh collider, and for some reason a nav mesh obstacle, which we don't need. So to create content's pretty easy. I can just select them and then go create Modbox entity. But one thing to keep in mind is that Modbox will create the rigid body. So based on if it's connected to other stuff or not, once you go into play mode, a rigid body is created for it. Otherwise, it doesn't have it. So I'll remove the rigid body on these. And this probably doesn't need an animation thing either. And then I'll create Modbox entities of these. So I can set a few options here. I can set the category. I don't really want to do that. And it's just a normal entity. It connects like an object, and that seems all good. So I'll create. So one thing to keep in mind is that I need to have all the content I create within my mod folder. So I'll create a new folder called entities, and a new folder called assets. And I'll move the model package. I'll move my entities into there. Doesn't matter where you put the entities; it'll automatically find them. Anything included in a mod, but it's just good to be organized. All right. Okay, so I have my Modbox entities right here. I can see how they're automatically set up. There's a number of options in this entity list, in this entity component. It's a massive amount of options, but you really won't have to deal with a lot of them. The main things to keep in mind are just the scale and some of the scaling options. Like if I only want to scale in the Y direction, which is good for some entities, I can do that. So I can add it here, and I can see how large it will be compared to the player just right there with the center of the screen will show the box, the player scale. So that looks about right. So I'll go in, I'll do this in VR this time, and I'll try this out. Okay, now I can just go into the build menu, go to mods, find my mod, and activate it. Then it should show up. Right now I didn't make any icons for it, so there's no icons, but I can add a barrel like that and scale it. And let's add a shotgun. Oh, the shotgun's giant right now. That's okay though. Okay, and then I'll hit play to try it out. Okay, so I gotta make the shotgun smaller and maybe make those crates breakable, and actually turn that into a shotgun. Okay. Okay, so I'll drag the shotgun into the scene view, so I can start editing it, and I want to make it tinier and also make it an actual shotgun. So I'll set the default scale as 0.2, and then to make it into a gun, I'll just look and see how another gun's set up. So there's a revolver in the basics mod. I can drag that in and see all the scripts that it uses. So it uses the toy script and the gun script. I can also always see how these scripts are set up. So all of this is open source. You can see how it works. If something's not functioning the way you expect it, you can go in and see what's happening. You shouldn't be changing any of these scripts because it won't be included in your mod, but you can definitely see how everything's set up. So I'll go back in the shotgun and I'll add that toy script. Entity toy, and then a gun, the gun script, entity gun. So for the toy, there's some instructions of how to set up toys in the wiki, but it should be pretty simple. I'll just add, I'll set where the toy is held, so how the person would hold it in their hand. Toy hold position. Toy hold position, and then it should show me, yeah, in a little gizmo of how it's actually held. So I'll just, there we go. And then I'll try to match where the trigger is pretty much. Okay. And next I need to set where the gun will fire. So I'll add another empty game object, position it right where the barrel is. And I'll call this shot position. So I'll set that in the entity gun, and for projectile, I'll just copy whatever the revolver is using right now. It's using a bullet. All right. But since it's a shotgun, we want to have a little bit of spread. I don't know how much too much is, so I'll just go 0.1 and then say 5 projectiles at once. And we don't need to do anything else, but I'll add a firing sound. Do I got any shotgun sounds? Yeah. Okay, I'll use that. So for testing in the game, I'll apply the prefab changes. I'll set these as deactive, but keep them in scene just so I can make changes. And then I'll run the game to try it out. Okay, so I'll enable my mod again. I could just add this to default list to make it easier, but this is good for now. And yeah, now it's at the right size. I can still scale it in edit mode, which I should probably disable, but that's good for now. And I'll freeze it in place. So it works pretty good, but next thing I could do is make the pump grabbable, so you can actually have to grab it to reload it. And there's a few examples in the basics mod of how to do that, but for now that's good. So one thing I'll do next is actually make icons for these entities and then upload it as a mod. So to create icons, I'll go into the entity texture camera. I don't need to save the test scene. And then I'll drag the entities here. So we might streamline this process later, but for now you actually have to drag the entities into this scene. There, like that. And then I'll just run the scene. What it'll do is just add it to the scene and then take a picture of it and assign it as an icon. So you can see these now all have icons. Okay, so next thing I'll do is upload. So I need an icon for the workshop. So just to make my life easier, I will add this shotgun as the icon for now. Well, I'll make a duplicate of the shotgun icon. Okay, and now I just got to go build mod and upload to workshop. So I'll set it as private just because this is a test. And it should have to build the asset bundle and then start the Steam workshop upload. Okay, so now that the mod's built, that took about a minute to build, and I can see the finished build in the streaming assets / mods folder. So my mod is right there, the actual asset bundles that were built. And then I can just hit upload. And it completed. That took another minute, and here it is on the workshop. So to make it live, I can just change the visibility to public, and people can download it and start including the mod in their creations. And that's everything. So if you end up trying the ModboxSDK, let us know how it goes. You can post on our Steam forums. We have a section for the ModboxSDK, and we also have a Slack channel that we've created, which will have an SDK part of it that you can discuss with us, how's it going, and also other modders. So yeah, that's it. Thanks.